We aim to transform the lives and status of women and girls through education, empowerment, and enabling opportunities. And this we achieve through our diverse activities and projects globally. Advocating for equity and equality, creating safe and healthy environments, increasing access to education, and developing leadership and practical skills for a sustainable future. In 1984, Soroptimist International, as a non-government organization, received general consultative status at the UN Economic and Social Council. Before we start today's talk program, I'd like to invite the President of SIJ, Chandra Kerton, to say a few words, after which we will show you a short video on Soroptimist. Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you, Isla. Hello, everyone. Welcome on behalf of Soroptimist International of Jakarta. We are holding this webinar today to commemorate two things: our club's 28th anniversary, which falls on the 27th of August, and the UN World Day Against the Trafficking of Persons. The webinar today will focus mainly on the trafficking of women and girls in Indonesia, and our speakers for today will shed much needed light on these issues. We will now show you a short video with a statement on trafficking of persons by the immediate past president of Soroptimist International, Marit Verhoef-Kohn. Thank you all for being here today.
Sorry, we'll have to get the sound for you. Ori, shall we postpone this one and come back to it while we get our sound? Doesn't seem to be coming through right now.
The 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda embraces goals and targets on trafficking in persons, including the elimination of all forms of violence against and exploitation of women and girls, a complex and often hidden global phenomenon. Human trafficking exploits women, men, and children for many purposes, including forced labor and sex. Affecting every country of the world, you need not look far from your own doorstep to see the destructive effects of this crime. There is diversity amongst both the perpetrators and the victims. However, the UNODC Global Report on Trafficking in Persons 2016 found 79% of those trafficked to be women and children. The movement of refugees and migrants is the largest since World War II, and although trafficking in persons is driven by a range of factors, many unrelated to migration, people on the move, whether fleeing from war, conflict, poverty, weather-related disaster, or water scarcity, can be vulnerable, and traffickers can find space to operate. Soroptimist International recognizes the need for a global response and solution to the injustice of human trafficking. At international level, we raise awareness and use our voice at the United Nations on behalf of our members and women and girls worldwide. On a national and local level, federations, regions, countries, and clubs, they work with survivors of human trafficking, promoting services such as health and education, and economic and social assistance, whilst seeking to overcome the conditions of poverty and educate and promote vigilance in communities and schools. We work to prevent and protect against trafficking and all forms of modern slavery, the consequences of which distort business and tear at the social fabric of society. SI supports World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, the 30th of July, and will continue to take stride towards a safer world free of violence and exploitation. Join me in recognizing this very special day. Let's stand together as a global voice for women and girls.
Thank you, Ori, for putting the video on, and thank you, Chandra. Now, before we start today's presentation, can I just mention a few things? First of all, this session will be recorded, and we ask that you turn off your mic and your video during the presentation to help save on bandwidth. Now, this is our very first public Zoom from SIJ, and we do hope that it goes smoothly. If you want to ask a question, please go to the chat box at the bottom of your Zoom screen and type in your question and send to everyone. And then after the talks, Ori will then pose the questions to our speakers. Okay, so we're very fortunate today to have as our first guest speaker, Ibu Satyawanti or Wanti, who is a commissioner from Komnas Perempuan, the National Commission on Violence Against Women here in Indonesia. For years, Wanti has worked in sexual and reproductive health and rights, child protection, as well as in social research, community empowerment, gender mainstreaming, and project management. She's also presented at international conferences and written on religion, politics, and transgender in Beron, Aceh. Wanti has also been involved in the child protection movement and the child and HIV study in Central Java. At the Indonesian Planned Parenthood Association, Wanti has developed a child protection policy, and as its director in West Nusa Tenggara, she was also involved in child marriage prevention and in advocacy to raise the minimum age of marriage in Indonesia. She later became its national executive director, responsible for 25 provinces. At Komnas Perempuan, Wanti works closely with the government, with local and international NGOs, and has partnered with the media, UN agencies, and donors. Ibu Wanti, we now invite you to the Zoom stage. Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I will share my screen first. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have you everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very. First of all, I heard other. Yeah. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for the Soroptimist International. I still heard another voice. Yeah. Okay.
Can you all make sure you're on mute, please? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for Soroptimist for inviting Komnas Perempuan in this interesting event. It is very honor to me to be one of the speaker, and as a request, I give the title of my presentation, Trafficking on Women and Girls, Awareness, Advocacy, and Action. And now I'm going to start my presentation. The flow of my presentation is I will give a short introduction about Komnas Perempuan, and then human trafficking on women and girls in Indonesian context, and also the challenge and initiative of the government of Indonesia, and the last but not least is the role of the Komnas Perempuan in women trafficking. Yeah. Komnas Perempuan is also known in Indonesia is like a Komisi Nasional Anti Kekerasan Terhadap Perempuan atau the Indonesian National Commission on Violence Against Women. It was established by presidential decree in 1998 and then strengthened in 2005 with a specific mandate is the fulfillment of women's rights and to create a conducive situation to the elimination of all forms of violence against women in Indonesia. So usually Komnas Perempuan will follow up the case if related with women, but women with gender-based violence on violence against women. But for the general case, we have also the Komnas HAM or the National Human Rights Commission. So it is a different. The Komnas HAM will take a general case, but for the Komnas Perempuan, we will follow up and then monitor the case related with gender-based violence and violence against women. The role of the Komnas Perempuan is increase the public knowledge awareness and then conduct the legal and the regulation, study, review, monitor the violence against women, also the provide advice, a recommendation to the ministry and to the government and also to the parliamentary. And then we also develop cooperation and partnership in a local, in a regional, and also in global, international. And also develop the recovery support for a victim. Yeah. For a victim. Yeah. And human trafficking in Indonesian context. Yeah. I will just describe for the report from the IOM or International Organization of Migration that the human trafficking victim in Indonesia in the year 2005 until 2017 is 8,876, and women in the highest number. It is similar with UNICEF predicted that 100,000 women and children in Indonesia have been trafficked every year in a commercial sexual exploitation, both Indonesia and abroad. Approximately 30% women prostitute, also under 80 years old. In Indonesia, under 80 years old is categorized a child because based of the child protection law in Indonesia that the children is under the 18. The Directorat Tindak Pidana Umum Barreskrim, the police, the Republik Indonesian Police Office Barreskrim, in 2017 repatriated 1,083 victims of human trafficking, and 1,078 victims from that number is women. So now we know that women are vulnerable and also the highest number of the victim in this trafficking. And also in I quote the report, the Trafficking in Person Report 2020 that released by the US Embassy, that MOSA or the Ministry of Social Affairs funded and staffed in 2 trauma centers, both in Jakarta and Riau, and also both in Jakarta and Riau, and repatriated 7,000 Indonesian from Malaysia. But they did not report how many of them were trafficking or repeated were trafficking. MOSA also reported that Jakarta Trauma Center saved 700 trafficking victims in 2019, but it did not report the type of the trafficking of the age of gender. So it's also difficult for us, for me also, to find exactly the gender of the victim. The Ministry of the Foreign Affairs also identified cases in 2019, 259. It is case in a domestic worker with specific circumstances, and referred also 94 of the victim in social service agency. And also the Supreme Court reported that 220 226 prosecution and 200 conviction. Continue decrease, yeah, from the last the 2018 on last year. And also the kind of the trafficking on women and girls in Indonesia is labor labor, and also the sex trafficking, like the exploit the women, men, children in fishing and fish processing and construction, and also plantation. And also in traffic exploit women and girls in domestic servitude. In the world, this is so many case also in domestic servitude, and we also found this in Indonesia also. And the sex traffickers often use debt or offer a job, usually in a restaurant and in factories or domestic service, and then deceive women and girls, and instead exploit them in commercial sex across in Indonesia. And we found the death case in Batam and in Jakarta. Trafficker also exploit women and girls in the sex trafficking near mining operation in Maluku, Papua, and Jambi province. In 2017, the government of Indonesia decided that there are 5 regions that are categorized as a red zone in human trafficking. In Nusa Tenggara, and then West Nusa Tenggara, and East Java, Central Java, and West Java. And the factor that perpetuate the practice of the human trafficking in the country based on the study of the PMC, or the National for Catholic Saints Thomas Aquinas, is there are found four factors: the poverty, the level of education, the social, cultural, and the gender inequality, and the law enforcement. Regarding the poverty, because the poverty and employment opportunity encourage many Indonesian migrate, encourage the Indonesian so sorry. So sorry. Encourage the many Indonesian to migrate, because they did so because the individual or family, they think that can be freed from the poverty. Yeah. This is based also in the research in 41 countries that which show that the economic condition and the lack of job opportunity usually become the main reason for the women to migrate abroad in the search of a work. And research in Indonesia also produced a similar result, where economy factor usually a main driving factor for a million Indonesian to migrate abroad. In level education, that human trafficking victims in Indonesia seems like do not have adequate access to education in their home areas, and also they do not have sufficient understanding and information about the dangers and the risk of the making decision to migrate to other areas and abroad. This lack of knowledge make them a vulnerable position and easy to trick by the lure of money. Okay, and the social culture in Indonesia and also the gender inequality also place women as unequal to men. Women usually in a weak position in the social cultural structure in the society. As you know that girl and women usually will be in under protection of like a girl in under protection of the father, and the women under protection of a husband, like that. So this is this is become like a phenomenon, become in this inequality of the position, also can mix women in a human trafficking. And the phenomenon in recently phenomenon also, the increase of the early marriage also can be another trigger. The early marriage or child marriage also can be another trigger for human trafficking. As you know that the number of the child married in Indonesia also high. And in a pandemic situation also increased. Recently, we got a report that the two areas in Central Java and West Nusa Tenggara, there are increasing of the child married, and then they request the dispensation of the married to the religion office to get married in about 16 and 14 years old of children. And also the gender inequality in the social cultural structure also encourage the exploitation practice, because influenced by the environmental condition where the women came from. About the law enforcement, the weakness of the law enforcement also have a contribution in the practice of human trafficking in Indonesia. But yeah, we know that the government of Indonesia has shown its serious also by issuing several laws, and so form a task force. But however, the implementation in a field is not optimal yet until now. Also, sometimes we still found the official knowledge on a trafficking indicator, on anti-trafficking laws, still allow, and still they did not understand well about that. Also, the officer facilitated the issuance of a false document, so that's why sometimes the victim have a false document, and then they still allow the broker to move an undocumented migrant across the border. We still found that case in the field. We know that some report and also the study show that the government of Indonesia does not fully meet the minimum standard for the elimination of trafficking. But we believe, Komnas Perempuan believe that the government Indonesia is making a significant effort to do so. We also saw that the government demonstrated overall increasing effort. Our opinion based on the progress of the annual report. But until now, the government of Indonesia has not yet released report for the 2019. Last time I checked, it's still on finalizing process. So regarding about the government of Indonesia initiative and challenge, this is some of the initiative that the government of Indonesia has released in past, and it starts from the 2017 that they also published have a protection on Indonesian migrant worker. Also the task force for the 2014 and until 2019, like I said that until now they have not yet released the report. But according to the report is they establishing 13 law enforcement trafficking, and also issued the ministerial regulation that mandating regional government include anti-trafficking, and also issued a regulation to allow the government's victim and witness protection, and also coordinated the rehabilitation service for victim abuse, including trafficking victim through the local integrated services. And there or Indonesia we P2TP2A. I'm sorry, it's a little bit long if I translate in English, but we usually call this institution is P2TP2A or P2TP2A, and they have in 34 provinces and approximately for 436 districts. And this institution is under the Ministry of the Women Empowerment, and managed and funded by the international level, and provide the rehabilitation services for the victim. But beside of the initiative, the government Indonesia also faced the challenge. I said this is challenge, not the problem, because yeah, the challenge, because we have to face and we have to solve this, and then we face the challenge. The first is coordination. Yeah, we Indonesian government of Indonesia still need a strong coordination between institutions. The task force has a responsibility to coordinate with the state institution, NGO, and other community organization. And it's not only aim at the national level, but also in the region, because the problem is seems like usually happen in a region, because you know that Indonesia have 34 provinces and 400 district, and in data collection. Yeah, so it's still difficult to find the data collection, because the government of Indonesia or the task force have not yet published a report with the comprehensive data. And every institution in the task force, because the task force is content, it's including the several ministry with their own tasks related with their task as a ministry, and every institution report the respective status figure to the public. So sometimes but what we need is just the comprehensive data, and then we ask the government of Indonesia will release the data, because we cannot follow the data from the every ministry. It should be one data that we can see, and the data is content from the including the every data from the ministry. But until now, every ministry or every institution will release their own statistical figure. So that's why it's a little bit difficult to us to see the comprehensive data. And also the budget, the government budget allocation for the human trafficking decreased in every institution. According to the report for the US Embassy, that for example, like the Ministry of the Women Empowerment Office decreased, the budget is decreased from 20 billion rupiah in 2018 to the 17 billion. Also in some provincial police reported that their budget did not allow for cross-province or cross-border investigation. But as you know that trafficking trafficking usually will related with the border, or because they move to one place to another place. So it is the decrease of the budget is also impact for the police to follow this case across the province or across border in investigation. And what the Komnas Perempuan role on this situation? Like I mentioned in my previous presentation about the role of Komnas Perempuan, there are some of them. The first is the Komnas Perempuan role is we publish the Komnas Perempuan annual notes, or we usually call Catahu or catatan tahunan. In every year, we will release the case of the violence against women. And also about the trafficking case, trafficking case. In 2017, we follow up the 12 cases directly. We received the report 117 cases, but we follow up directly, because reported directly to the Komnas Perempuan as 12 cases. about the labor exploitation, sexual exploitation, and also indicate a human organ harvesting, femicide, and so a lost person. And the victim is came from the East Nusa Tenggara, and then West Nusa Tenggara, Medan, Makassar, and Central Java. In 2019, Ministry of Foreign Affairs reported that there are 40 victim male pride order that have repatriated from China. And Komnas Perempuan itself have taken 11 cases reported by NGO directly. Until now, Komnas Perempuan still monitor this case because we do not want this to happen again in the future. And yeah, okay. And the second is Komnas Perempuan also have a report in trafficking and also the migration, because start from the 2010 until 2019, the Komnas Perempuan have the special have the unit that work closely in the migration issue, and we found that 983 case violence against migrant worker, and 2,694 cases of human trafficking related migrant worker. The kind of violence is including physical and psychic, sexual, and also exploitation, and then forbidden to pray, keeping the identification document, death penalty, and also the human trafficking. Next is the Komnas Perempuan role in study and review. In 2018, Komnas Perempuan published the study about the violence against women on the circle of migration, human trafficking, and narcotic. This intersection is important for the Komnas Perempuan, because usually when the government, especially when the women, this study based on the two cases, Mary Utami and Mary Jane Veloso, that faced a death penalty in Indonesia at the time. And then the Komnas Perempuan have conduct this study because usually the government of the authority did not see that human trafficking also related with the drug, with the drug smuggling, and the drug smuggling sometimes also related with the human trafficking. And we found that case in Mary Utami and Mary Jane Veloso. So that's why until now we still trying to advocate to the government to fight this and to help the two women that still in jail in Indonesia until now. The second is about the review of the law. Komnas Perempuan also now become the expertise who give the testimony in the Constitutional Court of the Indonesia on the judicial review migrant worker protection law, Article 54, 82, and 85. But regarding about this, I will not describe more because it will spend much time. If you need information about this, maybe you can contact us, because still continue until now. The next is the last but not least is the Komnas Perempuan roles in public education. In this case, Komnas Perempuan we did what we have to do in a press release and a press conference, also campaign in the social media, and also in a website, also through this webinar, seminar, and also the partnership. and it's working. And also we send the report, the last time we sent the report to the CEDAW committee and also described the situation about the women and girls trafficking in Indonesia. And also send the list of issues to the committee, CEDAW committee. So that's why if they need the clarification for the from the government of Indonesia, they will have the report from Komnas Perempuan. But in the situation of the pandemic, the situation regarding related with the pandemic COVID-19, we aware, Komnas Perempuan aware that the pandemic COVID-19 have a possibility to increase the number of human trafficking in Indonesia. Right now, Komnas Perempuan is still finalizing a report about the impact of the COVID-19 on women, especially violence against women and gender-based violence. That study also will describe the situation of women migrant worker. We are aware that this pandemic have possibility to increase cases of human trafficking because the economic situation will impact on increasing poverty in a community. And we also think that the trafficker will see it as an opportunity to recruit vulnerable women. So the raising awareness is important to do it this time. And yeah, that the last slide I presented to you. I hope that it's a fit with the time that give it to me. And thank you. Thank you for your attention on my presentation. And if you need a clarification or question, please let me know, and I will try to give more information. Thank you very much. I will stop my share screen.
Thank you very much, Ibu Wanti. It was a great overview of the role of the Komnas Perempuan and also the factors that perpetuate human trafficking in Indonesia, and of course the challenges that we face here in this country. Now, we'll come back to some of these issues later. Right now, I would like to introduce our second speaker, and this is Sister Chatarina Supatmiyati, the Chairperson for Indonesia of Talithakum, an international network in 92 countries working to combat trafficking in persons. From Central Java, Sister Chatarina entered the convent of the Good Shepherd Sisters in 1991. And over the years, she has worked across Indonesia, providing support to and empowering women and girls, especially unmarried, pregnant teenagers, those working as prostitutes, survivors of domestic violence and trafficking, and migrant workers. She studied theology in Manila and has also taken a diploma in integrative counseling in Kent in the UK. For the past 6 years, Sister Chatarina has been the provincial of the Good Shepherd Sisters in Indonesia. And after having been appointed as chairperson for Indonesia of Talithakum, she underwent leadership training in Rome. So before her presentation today, we will start with a very short video about Talithakum.
I support all the effort against human trafficking because I believe each person are valued and precious in the eyes of God, and no one has the right to violate others. Voices of challenge deep in the hearts of all people. By serving your world as lovers and dreamers, we
that challenge. We all know people who hope for a new day. Who must you hear the voices that challenge deep in the hearts of all people? By serving your world as lovers and dreamers, we become voices that challenge, for we are the voice of God. Voices that challenge. The lives and the cries of the poor and the silenced. Voices that challenge. The young ones who dream of a world free of hatred. Voices that challenge. The sick and the dying who cry for compassion. Must you hear the voices that challenge deep in the hearts of all people? By serving your world as lovers and dreamers, we become voices that challenge, for we are the voice of God. Voices that challenge. The ones who seek peace by their weakness and courage. Voices that challenge. The women who suffer the pain of injustice.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to join to this conversation. So I really appreciate the initiative of the Soroptimist Club, and it is very privileged for me as a representative of Talithakum Indonesia to share our experiences. So Talithakum Indonesia is a commission of the Association of Religious Women in Indonesia, which is specially addressed to this issue of human trafficking. So that is the activity that is shown in the short video. So I will share my experience and together to journey with in the Talithakum. Thank you, Ori. So this is the term of trafficking, as we just listened from the Komnas Perempuan, that is trafficking is international crime. And a crime against humanity. This is our Pope Francis, the leader of Catholic Church, said that trafficking is crime against humanity, because we believe in our faith that trafficking is a form of crime, because human being is created in the image of God, and it was really is destroying the image of God. And trafficking is human right violation. Wounds in the body of Christ. This is also Pope Francis quoting this to name it. Trafficking is the wounds in the body of Christ. Please, Ori, next slide. So our experience, first we do a campaign or awareness online and offline. This campaign we do in school, community, parishes, basic Christian communities, interfaith group to raise awareness. Some realities we really finding that those who are victim of trafficking really they didn't have enough information about what is going on in our world, because there is no television, no newspaper telling them. So they are stay in the remote village that is very difficult access, even for transportation to reach that place. So we try to reach them, and also we try to network with the community around them to be able to share the information. And education is vital life skill, because as Komnas Perempuan also said that education is very basic. Some of the victims we come across, they are really illiterate. They do not know how to write, and it was really easily to be trapped in trafficking, and not enough skill. We also finding that in the reality that some victim is very difficult to, because of the poverty, also very difficult to get access of education. So some of them graduate elementary. Now our government try to have like 9 years free education. It's really helping for those who are stay in the remote villages. But it's 9 education is actually it's not enough. And the skill, how to improve their skill. So soft skill and hard skill is really very needed to educate our girls and women. And the third, we do also advocacy for law enforcement officials. This is we do together with various NGO, faith organization, how to together to push the law enforcement official, because sometimes we're really facing very difficult, especially when the victim is come from different islands, so is within the country, so one island to other island. We experience a good practice also if the law enforcement official, they have good collaboration, but it's very rarely. Mostly it's very difficult. So we experience that if the law enforcement official say that the perpetrator is come from other island, they don't want to really collaborate with other law enforcement in other islands. I do not know, maybe because I do not know whether, like what Komnas Perempuan say, maybe the knowledge is not enough, or it's many reasons I cannot say also. But this is sometimes like we stuck when we are in the island, we are stuck when we come across this victim, and is that the perpetrator from other island, or like, because like their network, the network of trafficker is really very solid also. So this is what sometimes like creating also some frustration in terms of persecution. So then the other project we do empowering for the survival. We believe that this empowerment for the survival will bring restoration for the dignity of the person. We believe if one person is more precious than the whole world. So how we really pay attention to this project, because how to raise the dignity of the person, and it is very important. And we have the project in East Java. 3 years ago, we set collaboration project between different commission. We work together, and we journey with one village. In that specific village, mostly the population, they come, they're returning from migration. So some from Middle East, some is from Taiwan, some from Malaysia. So then they are, they returned to Indonesia without anything. So because it's like they have a debt, like so they have to return the debt while they work outside of the country. They return the debt. Then they came back. Some is just have nothing. So we start with the empowerment journey with them. Now after 3 years, then they are the economic begin improve. Then we are together have like microfinance. So they set microfinance. So this is bring like they are being proud as a group. So we are happy also as a company then. So next. So this is some of my reflection preparing to this Zoom meeting. Solid network is needed. 3 parties, sending, receiving, transit places within and outside the country. The countries. I think this is what is needed at the moment. We tried in the Catholic Church in the past 5 years. I think we try to create also this network, sending, receiving, transit places, especially like Indonesia, Malaysia, because mostly the migrant workers went to Malaysia for men, and for women is mostly go to Hong Kong, Middle East, something, and Taiwan, and clear mapping various stakeholders in addressing the same issue. This is before the Komnas Perempuan also said that a clear mapping is really very important. So what to do what? Who to do what? To reach the common vision. Because if every institution work differently, it's very difficult to address, because trafficking is huge issue. To need to have a common vision together, to work together, so that we'll able to address this issue of human trafficking. So come to my reflection also that traffickers have massive and systemic way of working. They have strong network. So it is really challenge what we can do. Or sometimes I question even with some sister in the Talithakum ask question, what is not enough? What we can do more? Because to face this huge issue, we have to hold hand each other. We have to work in collaboration. We have the common vision, because traffickers have a massive and systemic way of working. And according to our experience, that a good practice in documentation make effective advocacy. We experienced when I was in the island, work in the small regions. We try to have data collection, because we were reflected that the victim is not enough. we have to push the government to do something. So we tried in our small way to collect the documentation, then show to the government, then try to facilitate public discussion with the local government. And it's work, though it's need like through 2, 3, 4 years to wait, but finally the regions release the document, release the mapping data to know how many people are migrate and what is the condition, because the government have the money. So we believe that through we have to advocate also the government to advocate those who are like a duty bearer. So this is finally, I would say that together we can make a difference. So that's why it's like this meeting also is invitation. Are you calling to be with us to against human trafficking? Because together we can make a difference. Thank you. I think this is what. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Chatarina. Very interesting for us to hear about Talithakum's experiences in dealing with human trafficking, and also what they are recommending, empowerment for survival, restoring dignity of the person, clear mapping who to do what, and working in collaboration with the government. And it's good to see the role that organizations like Talithakum are actually having in society. Now, at this point, we'd like to go to questions, which some of you have been sending in through our chat box. And I'm going to ask our SIJ member, Ori, who's in the background there, to now read out some of these questions to our two speakers. So I'll hand over to you, Ori.
Thank you, Ibu Ayla. Hi, everyone. My name is Ori, and I'm a proud member of Soroptimist International of Jakarta, going 1 year now. And I'm going to read out some questions. I hope Ibu Wanti and Ibu Chatarina is ready to answer them. There's some good questions here. Okay, the first question is from Ibu Pipit. What do you think about the role of currency difference in human trafficking? Because there is an argument stating that working abroad as TKI is the most logical decision because it pays more rather than to be a domestic worker in Indonesia. And wait, I think it's the same job but with different salary. Like for instance, in abroad you might get 8 million salary, but in Indonesia maybe only 1 million. Maybe this is a good question for Ibu Wanti, or maybe Ibu Chatarina has some experience on this.
Yeah, I just will short maybe, maybe Ibu Wanti will say more. Migration, migrate is the right of everybody. I also would say like this, because according to human rights, everybody have the right to get a good job, a good salary. So it's the right of everybody to be migrate. But is migrate without enough skill, knowledge, that is will be like space to give the being abused, because it's not enough the knowledge and the education. So there's some also this is need to be reflected also, because that is like what I say, like government as a duty bearer have the capacity how to really uphold that education and skill for So all people have a good life. So I think have equal right also to get the education and life skill. So this my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Chatarina. Maybe Ibu Wanti can add more.
Yes. Yeah. This question is comparing migrant worker and also the domestic worker in Indonesia. Yeah, Komnas Perempuan also aware about this because you know that now we also we still advocate in the draft the bill, the domestic protection of the domestic worker bill in the parliamentary. Start from the 2006. If you can, it's, this year is the 16 years. We advocate about the protection of the domestic worker bill in the parliamentary, because we try to give protection to the domestic worker in Indonesia. Because their situation in Indonesia is not good. You know, their pay is under the UMR or the minimum payment in the provincial, and also sometimes the situation is related with the modern slavery, because the long hours of the work, and then the pay is not appropriate, and then sometimes they did not have get the social security and like that. This is a different with a migrant worker, because a migrant worker now Indonesia has the law, migrant worker law, and also in the migrant worker law also have a statement. Even now the implementation is not optimal yet, but they still have hope that they will protect, because there are regulation. But for the domestic worker, it's not the same position. We still fighting now, because sometimes they did not get the right as a worker. As a domestic worker, and that's why the person or the women will choose to be the migrant worker than the domestic worker in Indonesia, because of that, because the salary, because maybe the protection and blah 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 like that. I hope that this answer can.
Ibu Wanti, I think the relation with the topic today, the question is, what's the clear difference between human trafficking and economic immigration? How are they different?
Sorry, the difference of the economic.
The difference between human trafficking and economic immigration. Because those two are, today we're discussing about human trafficking, right? So are TKI, like who's choosing to be abroad, are considered human trafficking victims, or because they choose to work abroad, right? What's your take on that?
Okay, like I said, explain, because they choose to go to the abroad, and they choose to go to the abroad because of the thing. They think that they will get more money and more have a higher pay. Because in my opinion, because I heard about the domestic work, so sorry if in the misperception about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The second question.
Oh, yeah.
Ibu Chatarina want to add something?
Yeah, maybe the different, what I could say that those who are migrant is not always a human trafficking. So it's not always a human trafficking issue. Some is like labor issue, because labor issue have also the law, different law, no? Trafficking also different law. So it's not always that the case of migration or some migrant worker cases, not always trafficking cases. So this has to be clear. Okay.
So the clear section is option, like whether they choose to go or are they forced to go?
Yeah. It's like there is forced migration and there is a voluntarily migration, something like no. So it's
Okay, thank you.
it's different.
Ibu Wanti, want to add or enough?
No, it's enough. Yeah,
Okay.
it's enough. And thank you very much for Ibu Chatarina to explain better
No.
than me. Yeah, because
No.
because I previously I mentioned about the law of in migrant workers. So it's mean that sometimes it's became the option of the women to go to the abroad because also realize that there are a law to protect them also from the human trafficking. So yeah, because but like that. What? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think the next question still goes to Ibu Wanti. It's from
No. No, just kidding.
The question from Anne is, the task force doesn't seem to pull all together the many groups involved in protecting women. What does Komnas Perempuan think would be a better way of carrying out the control and coordination of the group? So what's your suggestion maybe for the government to make this better?
Yeah. The last time when I joined in the meeting with, because they now still finalizing the report for the 2019, and there is so many recommendation from the others NGO and also from Komnas Perempuan that we need that they work together, especially because as long as we know that the task force did not have the one program that can work together. The reports always show that every ministry work that, and this ministry do that, this ministry do that, but they do not have one program that work together in collaboration, especially in the data collection. Because the last time when we finalized the report, the data also still become a little problem because the ministry will collect the data from the ministry, but how to make sure that this is to be the comprehensive data, and also and also the coordination. So we give that recommendation to the task force. And in this year, they should arrange the national plan of action for the 2020 until 2024. So that's why I'm waiting for that. The Komnas Perempuan waiting for that meeting, the prepared meeting, and also the meeting to arrange that the national plan of action. Because at the time we will give our recommendation that the task force should have one big plan of action to work together in this issue, like that. Not the ministry do what they want to do, but not in the some perspective to solve this problem.
Thank you, Ibu Wanti. You're so passionate. We feel like we're so I hope
thank you.
Can get the same passion. Let's do something.
Yes, because you know that the mandate of the Komnas Perempuan and that task force is to monitor. Usually every year when the task force give the report to the public or a meeting to publish the report, and the Komnas Perempuan will give like a recommendation and how the Komnas Perempuan monitor in this case, and then give the recommendation, because the mandate of the Komnas Perempuan is like that, because we are the national human rights institution. We did not allow to intervention or the to like give a direction, just give a recommendation, and usually we will just push the government to follow our recommendation, and sometimes it not work, sometimes it work, and that's. But Komnas Perempuan still will follow the mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Wanti. I think the next question can be answered by Sister Chatarina. It's still from Anne, and she asked, does any Southeast Asian country stand out as doing the best work for women's protection? Because as I understand, Talithakum is also an international organization, right, Ibu? Maybe you can share experience like which country do you work best and which country do you think should be the model for women's protection?
Thank you very much for the question. I'm very happy in this Zoom meeting also many of my friends from Asia, Talithakum was present.
Yeah.
Were present. So I saw also my coordinator for Asia Talithakum are present, Sister Adele.
Yes.
So Sister Adele, maybe she can share also her experience which country are work best in terms of protection of women, because we are regularly every 2 weeks we have meeting together. So I'm really very happy that some of my friends from Talithakum Asia are present in this webinar. Sister Adele. Sister Adele.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah. You said about the model, good model, or with best practices in protecting women and children. So from the side of Talithakum in Asia, there are different levels of implementing our protection of women and children and our fight against human trafficking. The very advanced in implementing this work is from the country of Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Japan, who else? And the others, they're improving now. They're setting up of Talithakum network, but the advanced Talithakum were the one I mentioned here in Philippines, in Indonesia, Thailand, Talithakum, Japan, and the others will also follow, but the very advanced are those 4 countries. Okay, so we and each has its own capacity. Each one has its own skills and also expertise in protecting women and children, and also our fight against human trafficking. So with these 4 countries, every country has a good practices in doing it and making a lot of difference, particularly in the prevention work.
We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Sister Adele.
Thank
you.
I think that we have the same color of dress and the
the same color.
Yeah. That's nice.
I am a Salvatorian.
Okay, the next question is from Ibu Supiana Putri from Makassar. Hello. She's asking about the social media presence, because nowadays social media are really important, right? So she asked whether the Komnas Perempuan or maybe Talithakum is considering to use like public figure or famous celebrity to help with the raising awareness of the issue. Thank you. Maybe Ibu Wanti can start.
Yes. Usually we call them as influencer. Influencer now, no social media, non-influencer, and it's a person sometimes a celebrity, but sometimes not. But the person, she or he, can give the influence to the audience, and but for the trafficking, Komnas Perempuan still arrange, but Komnas Perempuan now. Not using, yes, but also collaborate, also work together with the influencer, like in the last time we about the sexual violence in the violence against women, we also with the Cinta Laura Kill like that, and also now we have an event in a GRTV every Friday that disseminate about the violence against women, mostly violence against women, and the social media also collaboration and also work together with some influencer in Indonesia like that. Yeah.
Thank you, Ibu. Cinta Laura, ya.
Yeah, the last time.
Maybe we'll get attention from the millennials. How about Talithakum,
Yeah.
Chatarina? Or maybe you are one of the influencer yourself?
No, we didn't use influencer yet.
Yeah.
But what we tried to do last year, not before pandemic now. Sorry, my battery going to run off. Wait.
Oh, you need to
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. Wait.
Yes. No, I just shared the one that what we try to do is we didn't using influencer, so I think government have more fun. I think to do that.
No. This is a free, Ibu. This is
they're
free.
free, no?
They are volunteer. Yeah, they are volunteer.
Good.
Yeah.
So
We advocate.
what we try in Talithakum, we work with some like radio in different regions to campaign, to do the campaign. Because it's mostly the victim also come from the remote places. There is no television and radio. So like radio, I think is also some places they use it, the radio, still using radio.
Okay.
And what we do before the pandemic, also we have the program like anti-trafficking ambassador. So we try to create in 5 villages in one of the region, and in each villages, like we have like voluntarily composed by youth and the leader of the village, and those who are like, we use like those who are have the influence in the village. So 15 of them, then so they do mobilize the information because they can speak their own language, their own dialect. So it's easy to mobilize the information. So I think this is the one of our strategy. Last year we did it in one of the regions in 5 villages. It's like small project, but it works. So we were very proud also. So anti-trafficking ambassador. We are hoping we will do more, but we will see in this online way how to do it. Also, we have to think because this pandemic is like provoking us to create new way of working, new way of doing. Then thank you.
That's right, Ibu. What you did is better than Komnas, because Komnas Perempuan have not yet any plan for the trafficking. So that anti-trafficking ambassador is the good idea, and maybe we can collaborate that, because some if you need an influencer or there or someone like that, maybe Komnas Perempuan, and if we work together on that, so I think that's a good collaboration.
Thank you, Ibu Santi.
This is like
very nice. So we meet and we think and we will do together. So excellent Zoom, excellent Soroptimist. I think Soroptimist is a very good to initiating this.
Thank you. It's very interesting to see how influencer doesn't need to be the celebrity, but you can also get local influencer, because maybe the combination of both can get more awareness. So thank you for that. I love this, how we're doing some matchmaking. Okay, maybe a few more questions. One question is from Ibu Sana. She asked that how does Komnas Perempuan deal with religious and cultural bodies given that they are not covered under the Indonesian marriage law? So this is about child bride, right? The marriage of minors. Do you have any comments on this, Ibu Wanti?
Yeah, yeah. We now have also in Komnas Perempuan we have the unit the unit that work closely with a religious leader, and also the especially with the religious leader to you know, work together to in some sensitive issue in sensitive issue like what you said, because it also are obstacle in the field, because right now recently the conservatism also increased, and Komnas Perempuan also face the problem. So that's why now we try to work closely with the religious leader, but the religious leader who have the same perspective with the Komnas Perempuan. As you know now, the Komnas Perempuan still fighting the anti-sexual bill in the parliament, because after the in a priority the national program in a parliament, and then they you know and then they withdraw about that. So that's why now we still trying to get the attention for the parliament to pass that bill to be the national program priority in 2021, because because what you mentioned about the marriage and the law marriage and the child marriage and forced marriage, and also the harmful practices like the female mutilation, genital and circumcision, and like that is related with the religion and tradition, and usually we will face the religious leader who did not agree with that. So that's why we now like kind of work together closely with the religious leader who have the same perspective with us to give influence to the other religious leader, something like that. And now the program the program of the Komnas Perempuan under the unit of the perempuan and kebinekaan. What kind of the women and the bineka, and you know, and bineka is the symbol of the Indonesian. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu. Before our last question, I would like to read some of the comments left by our participant, because they're quite interesting. The first one is from Ibu Yuli Imartono. She said, until the problem of poverty and related issues remain, years of effort to address the problem of human trafficking shows it can never really be eliminated, because for many poor people, jobs that often lead to human trafficking are the only option they have. So the policies must be realistic. And the second one is from Robert, who also agrees that trafficking is largely a byproduct of poverty, lack of education, and a lack of respect for women at all levels of society. So this requires systemic change in one country, and it takes time. Based on the two reports, it is unclear that this is a national priority. Is this a national priority? So maybe Ibu Wanti and Ibu Chatarina can answer to his question. There's so much to do. Where do we start? Sister Chatarina?
The last sentence, maybe I will pick up from the last sentence. There is so much to do. Where do you start? So you can start from your capacity, from your level of capacity. Where are you now? So I think where we are, we can start from where we are. If you work in the government, you can do in government level. If you work in the NGO, you can do. If you as house worker, or you can do also something. So you can do from where you are. And the voice will get stronger if we are together. So this is so what we can do together, but we can also do from where we are at the moment. So we can play for those who have working in school. We can start educate our children. For those who are working in the hospital, we can also start how to trade fairly the just salary for everybody. So this is to zero tolerance for the exploitation. So we can do to stop the exploitation.
Okay.
Because exploitation is the area.
Yes,
so thank you.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, it's enough.
To close the
No, it's enough for Ibu. Yes, we have to do the best we can, and then appropriate with related with our mandate. Like I said, that Komnas Perempuan will keep push the government and the ministry to work in this area, and also make sure that the national plan of action in human trafficking will meet the target, and also the yes, that's what we can do as the Komnas Perempuan, and as our mandate as a national human rights in Indonesia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu and Sister Chatarina and Ibu Wanti.
Yes,
for now, I close the question and answer session, and I'm really sorry for a few of the questions that hasn't been answered, but maybe we can arrange something like answering via email. But right now, I want to thank you for a very great discussion, and I give it back to Ayla.
Thank you, Ori. Great job. Okay, well, look, before ending this session, I know you'd like me to thank most sincerely both of our speakers, Ibu Wanti and Sister Chatarina, for the very important insights into this serious issue of trafficking of women and girls. They've mentioned the importance of education, of collaboration among the stakeholders, and obtaining comprehensive data and so on. Now, as we all know and understand, human trafficking is an issue that's not going to disappear overnight. Soroptimists worldwide have been working in this area. But through this Zoom session today, it's our desire and hope that we've been able to bring about greater awareness amongst us all, yeah? And that we will consider advocating in various ways to lobby change. And finally, that as individuals, we consider taking some action. I like what was said a few minutes ago. Start from where you are. And in Soroptimist, we always say, remember, together we can make a big difference. Now, ladies, normally after we have guest speakers, we would give them a small gift. But because we're Zooming this time, what we're going to do is give you a beautiful virtual melati flower, which I hope will come up on the screen in a minute. And just close your eyes and imagine the fragrance of this melati flower. And please, thank you once again for your time and for the excellent presentations. Now, for those of you who want more information about Soroptimist, you'll now see some details on the screen, and we'd like to invite you, any of you, to our monthly Zoom meetings across the world. And we hope that one day you might even consider becoming a member of our wonderful organization in a country where we have clubs, yeah? Okay, so if you've noted that information, now just one last request. For those of you who want to be part of our video group photo, do you want to turn on your videos? And we'll ask our hosts Ori and Mike to start taking photos. So thank you once again from Soroptimist International of Jakarta.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
we have 4 screens, so I'm gonna take pictures. Can you give me the best smile? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me do 3 more. There's so many beautiful faces and handsome faces here. I don't know where to start. Okay. Wait, let me. Okay, Sam has to turn on the camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the 3rd page. Let me. Okay, some are still covering up their photos. So, oh, but there's a pretty one that's waiting to be taken pictures. 1, 2, 3. And 1 more. Yay! Already finished.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Avanti.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Yes, this is a very
Good job,
Terima
Sister
kasih.
Katerina.
Selamat
Thank
malam.
Thank
you.
you, Abi.
Tada.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Very good.
Thank you,
Katerina.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Ori.
Loren.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you, Bu Keti.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Next time.
Sister Kanaya, thank you.
Hiroko, where are you, Hiroko?
Thank
I'm glad
you.
Hiroko is here.
Yeah, she
Are you
came
still
on.
here?
I'm
Hiroko,
leaving.
are you still here?
Oh, from Japan.
Not sure. No, I don't
Hiroko?
think so.
Oh, she left already?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you,
Oh.
ladies. Thank you, Mr. Optimus.
Madaimasho.
Good job.
I think she's in.
She's in. Or is she still there?
She's still there.
Hi, Hiroko. I'm from Indonesia.
Ah, hi. Yeah, some of our members are here. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ori, you did a great job. Thank you so much. And Mike in our background, one of the privileged males.
Great job, Ayla, Ori, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sandra.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you
Still have
all.
40 people here.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Great job, Ori.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, hi, Hiroko. Hi, Hiroko.